D2 Word Life here with the RTC's only fan, Riptidz.
No. It's the other way around. You're the fanboy of the RTC because you liked how they wore white and black. Even Ivory, you liked wearing white and black, didn't you, you fanboy?
No, that group sucked. And then that awkward moment when you realize in the long run the RTC actually won the war because WWE went PG. But anyway, enough about that.
No. The most awkward part is that it was two black guys and one white guy beating up on one black guy and two white guys.
Okay, anyway. Today we are reviewing WrestleMania 17, which took place on April 1st, 2001 in Houston, Texas at the Reliant Astrodome with an attendance of over 67,000.
Yep. That was a lot of fucking people and a lot of foreigners that went there too.
Yeah, I think one of them said they were from Australia.
Melbourne, Australia.
When they did the whole little, talk to someone in the crowd bit.
Yeah, they came 30,000 miles away.
Or something like that, yeah. Anyway, before we get to the main card here, shout out to the Sunday Night Heat match that took place with X-Pac and Just Incredible, your boys, defeating Steve Blackman and Grandmaster Sexy in a tag match. No one really cares in the long run about that one. I feel like I have to put it out there anyway.
Yeah, no. Those are your boys.
Oh, you know you were all about the X Factor.
No.
But anyway, the event started off with their big hype package for WrestleMania, which is iconic. And the first match on this card was the Commissioner William Regal challenging Chris Jericho for Jericho's Intercontinental Championship to kick off the show.
Yep.
So what are some spots from this match that stand out to you?
Regal was talking shit the entire time.
Oh yeah, this one had the classic freaking hype package, specifically the one moment where Jericho peed in Regal's tea. That's now a classic moment everyone talks about when they think of this rivalry from yesteryear.
Well, they also took that from them peeing in their boss's coffee to him peeing into his boss's tea because he never drank coffee.
But yeah, there was a lot of and Jericho's shoulder was hurt going into this one. The turnbuckle got exposed. Regal also suffered a bunch of chops. Regal's chest was red like hamburger meat.
Yeah.
And Jericho even attempted the walls of Jericho a couple times, could not get it in, got stuck in the Regal stretch, which Jericho managed to get to the ropes.
He also tried to use the lion salt.
It's yeah, but that was, the first attempt was backfired, reversed. Yep. But in the end, Regal freaking got his head smashed into the exposed turnbuckle, plus Jericho actually hit the lion salt to get the cover and retain the Intercontinental Championship.
Yep.
You know, it's funny, that's the only title that was actually successfully defended on this show.
Yeah.
So, what's your thoughts on that one?
It was good.
Good way to open up this Mania card.
It was interesting.
Oh, yeah. And this show was fucking long. This run time was a little over 4 hours. Or about 4 hours.
Something.
Or about 4 hours, yeah. But anyway, the Jericho-Regal match, Jericho win. That was a good way to kick off the show, getting everyone in the mood. Next match was kind of relatively a shorter match. And, of course, before that, APA was backstage.
Yeah.
The APA consisting of Bradshaw, Farouk, and Jacqueline at that time. Bradshaw gave his little speech, his little rally-up speech before they ended up going out to the ring. And it was your
Yeah.
boys, the Right to Censor, which is the good Father Val Venus and Bull Buchanan.
No, it's your boys. Get it straight.
Taking on
Oh,
Taz
no,
and the
it's
APA.
Bradley's boy. No, Dustin, it's Brad's boys. He liked the RTC.
I don't know, which group would you consider worse, the RTC or the Main Street Posse?
You mean those mean street pussies?
Yes. I'm pretty sure you watch Reliving the War like I do. You know the group I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's... Even though Right to Censor was bad, they were far worse.
Yeah, but anyway, the Right to Censor with Steven Richards took on Taz and the APA, Farouk and Bradshaw with Jacqueline in their corner in a 6-man tag match. It was a relatively short match, but what's your thoughts? Because it started off with brawling right off the bat.
Yeah, Taz was beaten. Taz fucking came out to his heartbeat song, theme song like he always did, which was fucking a badass theme.
And in the early part of the match, Right to Censor had the advantage over Taz. Then Taz got the hat tied to Bradshaw, and then just all hell broke loose once again.
Yep.
And the match...
And then Bradshaw hits the clothesline from hell.
To the good father to win this relatively short 6-man tag match.
But like I said, the awkward moment when you see 2 black guys and a white guy beat up 2 white guys and a black guy.
Of course, the big highlight was the brawl at the start when freaking Jacqueline DDT'd on White Sox. Or Steven Richards. That was a highlight of the brawl, too.
She DDT'd him out of his white socks.
It's like, yep. It was alright for what it was. It wasn't the greatest match on the card, but it served its purpose.
Yeah, but then their rivalry got a lot better during the next couple of years before the group disbanded.
Of course, the RTC disbanded like months after this. The APA would go their separate ways a few years after this. Taz would recur his commentator role, which he still does today. In the long run following this event. Right?
Yep.
But anyway, remember that when we went into the back, we seen Stephanie and Trish and sedated Linda in the wheelchair. Remember that storyline?
They supposedly sedated Linda.
Yeah, supposedly. Yeah, and they were pretty much saying to Linda's like, yeah, come out when the queue is ready, right? Pretty much.
When Shane McMahon is prone or whatever.
Yeah, and then afterwards we'll celebrate.
Yes.
Of course, we don't have to worry about that right now because the next match on this WrestleMania 17 card was the Chaos for the Hardcore Championship. It was Raven defending the Hardcore Championship against Kane and the Big Show.
Yep.
This match, it wasn't really a match. It was more of a hardcore brawl. There was only like, what? A couple of minutes of Kane just destroying Raven in the ring, and then when Big Show got out there, that's when it went out to the outside. Big Show didn't even get in the ring at all during this match at all, period. I mean, it was so good, I can hear your dogs just growling in excitement talking about this. Of course, Kane threw Raven into Big Show to start the brawl on the outside. Then they fought right through the crowd.
Yeah, as you can tell, well, that was before the 24-hour title defense was enacted.
Well, that was after the 24/7 thing was enacted, but we didn't see that here.
Yeah, because no one wanted to face either the Big Show or Kane.
And Raven was crazy enough to defend his belt against those two.
Yes, but I always like Raven's thing. Quote the Raven, nevermore.
Yes. And of course, they're in the brawl in the crowd. It was kind of hard to see people getting the cameraman's way, but I do remember seeing a sign that someone had that said Sheep 316. I'm only saying that specifically aimed at one person if he sees this. But anyway, they made it to the backstage area where Kane got slammed, or got dented into a wall and slammed out of house. The Big Show tried to freaking put Raven and himself into this like gated like area with a referee, trying to use a padlock to lock it, but it didn't last long.
He tried to put him in like the maintenance area.
Yeah.
Or whatever I think it was for the Astrodome.
Yeah.
And then he tried to freaking lock the damn thing, and Kane just ripped that motherfucker right off.
And you know what's funny? Even Paul Heyman made that call saying, yeah, now the Big Show has Raven for himself. Well, only for so long. Oh, yeah, the commentators of the show was Jim Ross and Paul Heyman.
Yep.
Yeah, and then it's seen Raven trying to choke Kane with a garden hose afterwards, only for that to backfire. Next thing you know, we seen Raven get tossed through a damn window.
Well, that makes it. That kind of reminded me of, like, I think it was like months or a year after that, where the two-man power trip.
Yeah.
Which we'll be reviewing that too.
At some point.
Where Steve Austin went through the plate glass window.
Yep. Yeah.
And now that's why they don't use plate glass windows anymore.
Yeah, and then after that spot, Big Show and Kane fought each other into a room through a door, only for them to go right through the wall.
Yep.
Which saw the... and then following that, saw the infamous freaking Raven golf cart incident. Where Raven tried to escape on a golf cart. Big Show was choking him. He couldn't get enough freaking turn and freaking ran over these freaking, like, power lines and shit, which... Raven even said himself that if he would have struck them power lines just right, the whole pay-per-view feed would have been cut.
Well, yeah, well, it was also that because he couldn't get enough speed to leave either, because the Big Show jumped onto the fucking golf cart and fucking weighed it down.
And of course, after that, they just abandoned
That's what also saved his ass, too, is that if that did not happen, then the whole thing would have fucking blew.
Yeah, and then... right after the failed golf cart spot, next thing you've seen Kane with the referee with a golf cart heading toward the three competitors, and Raven got his leg ran into. Felt like GTA funny. All over again.
That was funny as hell. Was Kane? All you see is Kane and the referee jumping another golf cart, and then you just see Kane driving, and Big Show knocks Raven down, or knocks him right into the way of the golf cart, and then Raven's like, "Oh shit!"
Right. Only the Attitude Era could bring us that.
Well, that was also when it broke Raven's leg. Well, it didn't break it. Well, fractured his leg
a little bit.
To a certain point where he had to. I think after the pay-per-view, he had to go on medical leave
for a tiny bit.
For a tiny bit to get that taken care of.
Didn't really put him out long. He was like competing at the next pay-per-view, but.
Yeah,
it was like a minor. Months. It was like a minor thing.
Yeah, no, like I said, I think it was only like a couple month thing that he was out.
Yeah, and then those two continued to brawl in the backstage area, including Raven getting wiped all over a Snapple freaking table.
Yeah.
And then freaking Big Show's head getting slammed on a piece of equipment, lettuce go flying into the goddamn camera. Yeah. And then they fought all the way up to the gorilla position and back out onto the stage. And there's just a visual of seeing Kane punch Big Show when Big Show's image is behind him that gets me laughing every time. You're getting your ass kicked in front of your own giant picture. Right.
No, what was funny as hell was when they freaking knocked Kane out. Kane just sits right back up. Fucking Big Show picks up Raven to throw him off the damn stage. And then Kane is just like, big boot, knocks Big Show the fuck out. He tosses Raven off the stage anyways. He falls down. And then Kane just leg drops his ass.
It was either a leg drop or an elbow drop, but either way.
No, it was a leg drop from what Jim Ross and Paul Heyman said was because he jumped off.
But then after that, Kane hooked the leg of not Raven, but the Big Show. 1, 2, 3, ending the brawl, and Kane won the Hardcore Championship here.
Yep.
So, what are your thoughts after we broke that down spots per spot? What's your thoughts on this hardcore brawl?
That people were stupid enough to try to go for the hardcore title when Kane had it.
You think that's bad?
After seeing that match?
Think that's bad? Let's review the. You think that's bad? Wait till we review the 2001 Vengeance when the other Brother of Destruction had that title or won that belt. But we'll talk about that at another time.
No one wanted to challenge him for it except for Jeff.
But then after the match, we seen Edge and Christian and Kurt Angle backstage. Kurt Angle reviewing that footage he had with name cannot be mentioned here. I'm just fucking.
Chris Benoit.
Yeah, the original, not JD McDumbass.
Not the knockoff, the original.
And Angle is all saying, yeah, and if you don't make anyone tap, if you make someone tap in the ring but it wasn't a match or a bell or a ref, no one officially tapped out. That's pretty much his mindset that whole time.
Yeah, well, he was complaining like a little bitch back then anyway, so.
But anyway, after that little awkward encounter between Edge, Christian, and Angle there, our next match saw Test defend the European Championship against Eddie Guerrero. And Eddie Guerrero had Perry Saturn that way ringside. And Perry Saturn in his weird hat. I don't know why Jim Ross had to go off about a freaking hat. He wears a fucking hat.
Well, he was wearing a white floppy hat.
I bet you'd want one of those hats.
No. Back then, maybe. Now, no.
It would just look weird.
Yes.
And Test mostly dominated this match, considering he was a lot bigger than Eddie, but Eddie, with the experience, freaking managed to get Test down, including getting his Test foot caught between the second and middle rope.
Well, that was also with the help of Perry Saturn, but not giving no credit to Eddie, because Eddie was a phenomenal fucking wrestler.
Yeah, he was. But this was back when Eddie Guerrero was working heel with the Radicals group.
Yes. Well, 3 of the 4 Radicals.
Yeah, we'll talk about the 4th one in the next match.
But yeah.
But then, Test and Eddie Guerrero and the referee had to help freaking Test get his ankle out of there.
Well, Perry Saturn had to get onto the rope to help because it was going to break his leg. If he was literally screaming, well, we couldn't really hear it, but he was saying, "My leg's going to break, my leg's going to break, my leg's going to break."
Them ropes are tied tight, bro. You don't want that on your ankle.
Yeah, no, because he was saying, "My leg's going to break, my ankle's going to break, my ankle's going to break," or something like that.
Yeah,
and Perry Saturn had to jump up there. Eddie Guerrero, even though he was doing his stuff, he was still standing on Test, trying to give him a little bit of leverage as well.
Trying to get him out of the ropes because, despite the face-heel alignments, they watch out for each other.
Yes, because the ref was worried about it because he was trying to
help him out too, get him out of there.
He was trying to do it himself, and then Perry Saturn jumped up there saying, "I'm going to help you," and then he motioned to Eddie to come and help because because those ropes back then were tough as hell.
Yep. And of course, after all that, Test slowly got back into control, hit a big boot on Perry Saturn and Guerrero.
Yep.
Looked like he was going to win, only for Dean Malenko to come out and interfere, distracting Test, which allowed Guerrero to take the European title and nail Test in the head with it when the referee was distracted, thus getting the 1, 2, 3 and winning the European Championship.
Yep.
Like, your thoughts on this match, despite the scary ring rope spot?
It was an interesting match, just back and forth, the technical wrestling all the way through.
Yeah, from 2 performers who are unfortunately no longer with us.
Yes.
Yeah. But, it is what it is.
That's because of medical issues and Eddie Guerrero, because his demons came back.
But, it's all good. This match served as probably one of the best Eddie Guerrero match I've ever seen. Definitely wasn't the best test match I've ever seen, but it served its purpose.
Yeah,
On this
no, like
stacked card.
That those if those things didn't happen, then they'd most likely still be with us today or back then.
Shit, if Eddie Guerrero was still alive, there'd be a certain incident that probably wouldn't have happened, in my opinion. But we're not here to talk about that. Well, that's for another video, and that's been covered to death.
Yeah.
But the next match, I know I have to judge fairly. I'm not going to let that certain incident cloud my judgment. And I'm talking, of course, the singles match, one-on-one encounter between Kurt Angle and his equal, Chris Benoit.
And Benoit.
Now, this match actually started off with technical wrestling between both men, and neither of them could gain an advantage over the other. Like,
yep.
And when I say technical wrestling, I mean Olympic-style based mat wrestling.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, okay, this is actually a good start. Right?
Benoit has always been a technical wrestler.
We know Kurt Angle's a former Olympic gold medalist, so of course those two would have great chemistry together, facing off.
Yeah.
There was several like angle lock attempts, cross face attempts, but neither of them could get an advantage out of it. Pinfall attempts, nothing. And Angle eventually decided got frustrated and decked Benoit turning into a pro wrestling match also.
Yeah.
And eventually, after some back and forth brawling, Benoit actually managed to get the angle lock on Angle, who then reversed it, and then Angle used the crossface on Benoit. Also,
Benoit used the crossface on him, made him tap out.
Well, the referee went down at some point.
When the referee went down.
Referee went down. Benoit got the crossface on Angle. Angle actually tapped out, but of course, since the referee was down, the match still continued. Right?
Yep.
And then Angle hit the Angle slam on freaking Benoit afterwards for a 2 count.
Yep, and then in his fashion that he'd later on do, he'd grab onto his tights when he rolled him up for a pin.
Yep, they did one like last sequence freaking of technical wrestling, mat wrestling there with a leverage pin for Angle, and Angle held the tights to get the victory.
Yep.
So I think it was a fitting fucking match. I mean, our description can't do it justice. If you have the ability to watch a Chris Benoit match and just watch it as a match and not think about the stuff from what happened later on, unfortunately, you'd be able to enjoy this one.
Yeah, but they also had found out that he had the brain of an 80-year-old Alzheimer's patient, too.
Yeah, but that's for a discussion for another day. But then let's talk about...
Because of all his high-flying headbutts.
Yeah, but... Anyway, after the match took place...
Like I said, I don't condone what happened.
Hold on.
He was a good wrestler. He was a good person all the way up until that point. But his matches were phenomenal. I don't care if people think I'm being biased or not.
I mean,
his matches were great.
It's like, for this series, I'm just going to make it a point to review his matches fairly. If it's a good match, it's a good match. If it's a great match, it's a great match. If it's a crap match, it's a crap match.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not condoning what happened. But I'm just saying
we're just focusing.
Up to that certain point,
yeah,
he was a great guy.
Yeah, we're just we're just focusing on the professional career.
Yes.
But then let's talk about what happened after the match. After the match, Angle did a little interview, pretty much post-match interview. I think it was Jonathan Coachman at the time telling him you gotta respect Benoit for what he did. Or it wasn't Coachman, it was someone else. I don't remember. Tell him you gotta respect Benoit for the brawl that just ensued, or the match that just ensued, making him tap out.
It was Coachman.
Yep.
It was Jonathan Coachman back then.
And then Angle's like, I don't have to respect anybody. I beat him. 1, 2, 3 ring. I'm the better man. Only for Benoit to attack him backstage and put him in the crossface again.
And have him tap out.
Again. Thus, continuing that rivalry between the two at the time.
Yes.
Which I'm all for watching another event with a Benoit Angle match. At some point, Lord knows they had plenty of pay-per-view outings against each other back in the day.
Like we're reiterating, people, we do not condone.
We don't condone his action. We're just looking.
We are only focused on what he did
in the ring
prior to that.
If we want to talk about the whole Benoit situation, we'll talk about it at some point, but not here.
Yes.
Not when we're doing these reviews. We're not going in detail. If you want to know more details, there's other YouTube channels that go into it in depth.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying. I'm just reiterating that we do not condone it.
We just
because people will be like, "Oh, you condone this dude for doing?" Well,
no, we don't. We just look at the matches and rate them fairly, regardless who's in it from the past.
Yes,
because you can't change history no matter how much you want to.
Yep.
Anyway, the next match on the card was probably the weakest of the match of the card. It was the women's champion Ivory, your bitch, from RTC defending against China.
No. Well, China's mine, yes.
No, we all know you were disappointed when Ivory lost in 2 minutes.
No.
Pretty bad that the hype package... Well, I'm just saying the hype package for this match plus the 2 entrances were freaking longer than the match itself.
Well, yeah. Well, that's because China fucking finished it within fucking, I think, a couple minutes.
Yeah. The match started off with China attacking, or Ivory attacking China from behind, working on the neck. That was the story of this matchup. Only for China to freaking come back, perform a China bomb, which is her version of the power bomb.
Yeah.
Intentionally just got Ivory up at the 2 count, and then freaking lift China up Ultimate Warrior styles, dropping her on her freaking face. Military pressing her, dropping her on her dang face, and then getting the 3 count and winning the women's championship. So in other words, Ivory got squashed.
Ow, I'm gonna break your neck.
So in other words,
it was also at that time when they signed the agreement for so China wouldn't take any legal action, and the right to censor couldn't interfere, which they always interfered in Ivory's matches.
Yeah, well, seems kind of familiar, doesn't it?
Yes.
Acknowledge me. Anyway, this was a squash. I know it helped in the story with what they were telling, but still, it's a squash. I'm just glad women's wrestling today is a lot better than that.
Yeah.
Not to knock off the 2 Hall of Famers that were at this match, it's just, it could have been better. It could have been just a tiny smidge longer. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but Ivory would try to, I think it was like the next night or a couple months after that, she tried to regain her title and yet lose yet again.
Yeah, and of course, after that, we seen Vince McMahon backstage pretty much saying the same thing we talked about when Steph and Trish were in the back. And of course...
Yeah, she had a jogging suit that said Daddy's Girl.
Yep. So the next match on the card was a street fight with Shane McMahon versus Vince McMahon with Mick Foley as a special guest referee. Before we even get into this match, let's talk about the high package. Yeah. Remember the Trish barking like a dog bit? That was a part of the storyline. And then Vince making out with Trish and all the other divas. Yeah, that aged like freaking milk. Looking at it from today's perspective.
Yeah, the embarrassing part of the women's wrestling back then.
Yeah, and Vince's actions in this storyline, they aged like milk. Based on what we know now, am I right?
Yeah.
But that aside, let's just focus on the match here.
Well, I kind of figured something was going down because I did not think that Linda, when they were doing that backstage segment, that Linda was sedated.
Oh, and also...
He said that she was sedated.
Despite the shit that aged horribly in that story package, they did brush on the fact that the McMahons bought WCW a week prior to the show. Or at least
Yeah.
Vince did, putting WCW under, which means Vince owned the rights to WCW.
Well, it was going to be Vince was in the process of doing, and then his son came in and snaked it away.
In the storyline, yeah.
Yeah.
And they had some WCW wrestlers up in the skybox of the arena. And before we get into this match, supposedly, no, this is just hearsay, but supposedly the WCW guys were actually supposed to be in the back and getting involved in this match, beating the hell out of Vince. But certain Sean Stasiak freaking gave away their plan, and it got published days before WrestleMania. Supposedly.
Well, that was because Sean Stasiak was being interviewed, and they asked what they was doing, and that kind of blew up in his face when he.
And it got to the point where Vince was thinking about just telling the WCW guys, "Go home. You're not welcome at WrestleMania." So they're lucky they even got the skybox, and yeah, some of the WCW guys up there was Stasiak, Bill DeMont, Chavo, Stacy Keibler. You know, names that would actually go on to work for the company later.
Well, that's because they freaking they told him that Shane and them told him that they had to scrap that whole part of the storyline because of what went down with Stasiak, which he got fined fucking, I think, $15,000 or something like that.
Yeah, and also I guess the whole Sean Stasiak mecha gimmick where he just kept beating himself up was punishment for that stuff. Supposedly,
yeah.
That we would see on WWE around the summer of this same year.
Yes.
But anyway, this match was chaotic. Shane McMahon was beating the hell out of Vince for a good minute, attacking him with objects, weapons.
This was before Shane McMahon also had his
money
Here Come the Money theme.
They both came out to the same theme song.
He came out to his dad's There's No Chance in Hell.
Yeah, they both came out to the same theme song, which is a little bit confusing, but okay.
After that WrestleMania, they gave Shane his own theme song, so that wouldn't get confused anymore.
Yeah, and that's the theme song he still uses today, is the Here Comes the Money theme song.
Yep.
But then, you know, Shane brought the fight to Vince, hitting him with kendo sticks, signs, other weapons. Then we get to
beat the shit out of Mr. McMahon in the beginning.
Yeah, and then here comes the interesting part. Shane was going for the elbow drop through Vince, through the Spanish announce table, only for Stephanie to get Vince out of the way, and Shane went crashing to the table and played dead for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Only for the other shenanigans to come, because then Linda McMahon came out with Trish. Trish was all like, oh, and then when Trish got to ringside with Vince, she was like, oh, acting all concerned only to bitch slap Vince in the face. And then the cat fight between Trish and Stephanie occurred. And you know what's funny? In the middle of the ring, Mick Foley, who was the referee, just stood there and did nothing when Trish was on top of Stephanie. But then as soon as the tables got turned, he was like, nope, I'm separating you guys. Only for him to get bitch slapped, too. Right?
Well, he also got hit with a chair in the back of the damn head by Mr. McMahon.
Yeah, I was about to get to that.
Take Linda.
So I was about to get to that. So after the two women brawled to the back, freaking Vince just looked at Linda McMahon in that wheelchair, pretty much mouthed off the words, you bitch. Right? Even Jim Ross said that on commentary.
Yep.
Right when he was about to approach Linda. And right when Mick Foley came up and said, don't even think about it, whatever. It's gonna freaking... Yeah, and he just started taking Linda to the back, only to freaking get nailed in the back and the face with a steel chair by Vince.
Yep.
Yeah, and then Vince took his quote sedated wife, put her in the ring, set her up in a chair in the corner, and then Shane got up, got pulled back right into the ring, only for Vince to freaking start beating the hell out of him with garbage cans.
Yeah.
And
he was saying, oh, watch this, what happens to your son.
And then here it comes. Right when Shane was about to get pulled for a third time, the crowd just went crazy, and I never heard a crazy standing ovation just for someone simply standing up. It's like she got a freaking Rock Steve Austin pop for that one. Linda did.
She got up. Fucking Shane told him to look around. He looked around. He has a steel trash can above his head still, and then he literally spreads his legs open when he turns around, and she kicks him right in the nuts.
Right in the McMahon family jewels. And then Vince's problems were already bad enough, Mick Foley then came back in the ring, started beating the crap out of Vince. Right into the corner.
Well, put him right in the corner, then ran to the other corner, fucking went and kneed him right in the damn face.
And even Paul Heyman was like, what kind of crap is this? Why is the referee beating the hell out of one of the competitors? Which prompted Shane McMahon to put the garbage can over Vince's face. Freaking go up to the top rope and hit a coast-to-coast on Vince for the win.
Yep.
So your thoughts about this? More like a dysfunctional family angle street fight. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah. It was very dysfunctional, but very interesting.
It's like, yep. So, yeah, and anyway. So after that was over, they did a little interview with the Hardys who were signing autographs for stuff. It was obviously pre-taped, right?
Yeah, it was from the night before.
Yep. So, in the next match, and that was for a good reason, the next match on the card was for the Tag Team Championships as the Dudley Boys, Bubba Ray and Devon, defended against Edge and Christian and the Hardy Boys, which is Matt, Jeff Hardy, in a TLC match.
TLC 2.
Dubbed TLC 2 because this was only the second time a tables, ladders, and chairs match happened in WWE.
Yep.
The first one taking place at the 2000 SummerSlam, which we probably will review at some point.
Well, this one was also where Devon was literally, when they told Devon to go up the ladder with Jeff, and he's like, no.
I think Devon Dudley's afraid of heights. Well, then again, I don't blame him. I'm not too freaking... I don't like heights either.
Well, they wanted... remember, because Christian or Edge was swinging from the thing, they were going up there to get the belt.
Yep.
But they didn't... Devon did not want to be one of the people that fell off of the
thing where the
ladder.
Yeah. But anyway, this match started off with brawls. It was a brawl as it would be. Even freaking Edge suffering a what's up spot from the Dudley Boys. Then the weapons got involved.
Yeah.
And then Spike Dudley came out to assist the Dudley Boys.
Yep.
And then Rhino came out, freaking gored everyone, helping Edge and Christian. And then Lita came out. And oh my God, when Lita came out, I have to say this right now. This is just a joke, but it was actually said. When Lita came out, Edge was climbing the ladder trying to get the belt. And then Lita freaking yanked freaking Edge off, smacked his face into the ladder, taking him out, but then Jim Ross said, "There's Lita, jerking Edge off." That is the most ironic foreshadowing I've ever heard, and the funniest. If you know what I mean. I bet you were laughing when you heard that, thinking about what we just reviewed a couple weeks back.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Oh, and let's talk about that chair shot that Lita gave to Spike Dudley over his head. The fucking chair folded over his goddamn head. That looked nasty. Right?
Yeah.
Of course, then Lita suffered the 3D. I mean, I can't really do all these spots. And Jeff Hardy tried to Jeff Hardy did a huge Swanton bomb off of a huge ladder through Rhino and Spike. On the outside of the ring, of course, the table that Rhino was on did not break. Right?
Yep.
Yeah, and then
which caused Rhino and
of course,
injury.
Yeah, and of course, there was also that one time when Devon and Christian were fighting each other for the belts. The ladder got taken up from under them, and both of them were dangling there, and I think that's a spot that Devon didn't even want to do.
Yes.
I think we were alluding to.
Yes.
Yeah, and then Jeff Hardy and then shortly after that huge Swanton bomb, Jeff Hardy tried to walk across like 3 or 4 ladders that were lined up next to each other like a tightrope, but that kind of failed and he tumbled over.
Yep.
The ladders tumbled over, so he climbed up the one, got on the belt, and then all of a sudden the ladder he was on was freaking like yanked away from him, so he was just swinging there. And that's when
Yep.
the most replayed spot, one of the most replayed spots in WrestleMania history happened when Edge speared him from where the titles were hanging down, back down to that ring.
Yep.
Even Edge went on record saying that knocked the holy high wind out of him, and he didn't even know how the hell Jeff Hardy survived that and still was conscious.
Well, they were both kind of knocked to semi-unconsciousness because they went through fucking tables when he got speared.
And of course, after that, the match continued with Matt Hardy and Bubba Ray Dudley fighting on a ladder, only for Rhino to tip the ladder over, and both of them went onto the outside through 4 stacked tables.
Yep.
And you could tell Matt Hardy was busted open hard way from that. When they
Yep.
look at the damage. But in the end, Devon tried to grab the championships, only for Edge to stop him. And Christian, with the assist from Rhino, went up there and unhooked the belts, meaning Edge and Christian won the tag team championships here.
Yep.
I mean, our description can't really do this match justice. You just got to watch the car crash in the Demolition Derby, which is this TLC match from Mania 17.
Oh, it was worse than a car crash.
Even Jim Ross described the aftermath of like what it would look like if a tornado ran through a mobile home park.
Yeah.
Type carnage that we've seen strewn around the ring. So, what did you think of this TLC match?
It was amazing. It had its ups and downs, scary parts.
Yeah, and then in a little break from that, we had our little comedy match for the night. It was the Gimmick Battle Royal, which Gene Okerlund and Bobby Heenan were the commentators for.
Yeah.
And these were all gimmicks from the past, like I would say 80s to early 90s characters.
Before Sergeant Slaughter became Sergeant Slaughter.
Yep. And the participants in this match were the Iron Sheik, Hillbilly Jim, the Bushwhackers, Looking Butch, Duke the Dumpster Trophy, Doink the Clown, Nikolai Volkov, Tugboat, the Goon, Earthquake, your boy the Gobbledygooker, Brother Love, Michael Hayes, One Man Gang, Kamala with Harvey Whippleman, Kimchi, Jim Cornette, Repo Man, and Sergeant Slaughter.
Yep.
And I swear, the Gobbledygooker was the greatest freaking debut that took place in the 1990 Survivor Series. There's no other debut from that freaking show, period.
Yeah.
And yes, that is sarcasm. But the entrances for each one was longer than the match itself. It didn't really last that long. It served its purpose. It was just, a funny ha-ha thing.
Yeah, they thought the Iron Sheik would have won, but Sergeant Slaughter came from behind and
it's like
won.
everyone was eliminated. Everyone got eliminated quickly. The Iron Sheik did win it because Sergeant Slaughter was eliminated, followed by Hillbilly Jim. But then Sergeant Slaughter got back in the ring, put Sheik in the Cobra Clutch, and that's how that segment ended.
Yeah.
It wasn't no different than any other battle royal. Quick eliminations, one winner. And I guess the rumor is the only reason the Iron Sheik was scheduled to win, because I guess they originally were supposed to have Slaughter to win. No. The Iron Sheik only won for the fact his health was so bad at this point he couldn't even take a bump over the top rope.
Yeah.
So they had to send the fan homes happy with that post-match beatdown.
Yeah.
But, yeah. It is what it is. It ain't no different than any other battle royal. But the next match was something. The next match was a great one. And it was the first ever WrestleMania meeting between the Game Triple H and the American Badass The Undertaker.
Yeah, Triple H came out to Motorhead.
Yes, and Motorhead did do Triple H's theme song entrance. Bring him out to the ring. They played the game live.
Not once, but they done it twice.
At WrestleMania.
And sadly to say that those were the last two shows that we will ever see the lead singer for Motorhead ever at.
And as per tradition, the WrestleMania curse is, and it's been proven, if you have your freaking a live band play your entrance, you're destined to lose. And since Triple H was facing The Undertaker, the man who was then undefeated at Mania, you know that was going to be the case. Right?
Yeah, well, it was planned for the Undertaker to win anyways, but
And of course, Jim Ross actually did this. I think this was the first time they actually mentioned the Undertaker's undefeated streak. Because during the match, Jim Ross mentioned that the Undertaker is 8-0 at this event. I think that's the first time that they mentioned that at WrestleMania.
yeah.
Anyway, the match started off with brawling in the ring like it usually does, and then the referee got knocked out by Triple H. The Undertaker then hit a choke slam, only for referee to be out. So when referee was getting back up, the Undertaker just attacked the referee again for no reason. Oh, and by the way, that sell job from that referee playing dead for at least 15 minutes, you need to learn how to sell on the video games like that referee, by the way. Mister gets back right up after I hit a big move on you. I'm like, nice sell job, asshole. You should learn from that referee who was made of glass bones and paper skin. If you get that freaking reference of what I called that referee, then you're an OG.
No, I will never be like that. I will freaking keep getting up.
But with the referee down, the fight between the two went on to the outside, went through the crowd, including to a technical freaking like tower that was placed in the middle of the audience. I think that's where the hard cam area is, really.
Yeah.
Which is obviously an unusual place for a brawl match to take place. Mm-hmm. Triple H got the upper hand there with steel chair shots. Then Taker made a comeback. And yes, we know there was a crash pad that Triple H landed on, but the visual of seeing Taker chokeslam Triple H off that tower was a great visual to see.
Yeah.
Because from the one angle that they were at, it looked like Triple H just chokeslammed down to hell. You didn't even see where the hell he landed. Triple H landed at.
Yep.
Yeah, and then afterwards, Undertaker jumped off the scaffolding or the tower himself, delivering an elbow drop onto Triple H.
Yeah.
Then they brawled back into the ring where the referee finally got freaking up again. When Triple H tried to bring in the sledgehammer.
Yep.
Of course, during that, the Undertaker reversed the sledgehammer attack, hit a tombstone on him, but the referee was still down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the Undertaker went for the last ride, only for Triple H to take that sledgehammer and freaking nail Undertaker in the skull with it, thus busting him open.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then at some point, Triple H had the Undertaker in the corner, mounted punches, only for Taker to reverse that into a last ride, and then there was a 1, 2, 3. Then the Undertaker went 9-0 at this event.
Yep.
Not their best WrestleMania. This wasn't the best WrestleMania encounter between Triple H and Undertaker, obviously.
Well, this was Triple H fresh off of just him saying that he was the baddest man or the toughest man in the WWE, and then Undertaker had taken offense to that.
Yeah. I mean, this wasn't the best Triple H Undertaker WrestleMania match there was. I still say that's number 28, their third battle, but out of the two that we reviewed so far, 27's match was better.
Yeah.
But they did their job. It was a brawl, and the fans went home happy with their hometown badass winning the match and going 9-0.
Yep.
At that time, right? Yep, and then we went to our main event, and that high package for that main event brought me way back. They should do more of that today.
Well,
It was Champion The Rock versus Steve Austin 1-on-1 in a no disqualification match.
The Rock didn't really have a chance to fight back at all in the beginning because fucking right after their entrances and The Rock got in to do his fucking shit, Stone Cold just started to attack him.
Yeah, but before the match even started, the My Way freaking hype package between the two and the theme song for this WrestleMania was My Way by Limp Bizkit.
Yeah.
It's like,
Which
that was
is
a great
fucking badass song.
Yeah, that was a great hype package shit that you don't really see today.
Yeah, no, you don't really see the bands play anymore.
Yeah, but then the match started right after The Rock was done doing his entrance. Austin and The Rock started brawling right away, thus starting the match.
Yep.
And at some point, Austin tried to use the championship belt also at the start, but, The Rock reversed it. And then at some point, Austin turned the turnbuckle off. Right?
Yeah.
But then afterwards, the brawling went to the outside. And Rock hit Austin in the face with this ring bell, thus busting him open. Oh wait, no, it was Austin who hit Rock with the ring bell, busting him open.
Yeah.
It was pretty much what I just said, but opposite. Flipped. Yeah.
Yes.
And then Austin went to work on that cut on the Rock, busting him up, making the blood come out even further. But then at some point, The Rock reversed his shit and nailed Austin's head into the exposed turnbuckle, thus busting him open in the process too.
Well, Austin had put The Rock into the corner trying to do more damage, and The Rock freaking reversed it and just started beating the fucking Stone Cold Steve Austin's head with the fucking exposed steel.
Yeah.
Which kind of sounds wrong when I fucking said that.
Exposed steel.
Beating his head.
Yeah, but then The Rock hit Austin with a bell in the ring, I think, and then those two were busted open, bloodied, battered up. Both of them tried submission holds, like The Rock put Austin into the sharpshooter, which was flashbacks to WrestleMania 13.
Well, Stone Cold Steve Austin tried to do it, so he was flipping him off when he was doing that.
And The Rock got out of it.
The Rock reversed it. Then The Rock flipped him off.
Did the sharpshooter on Austin.
Sharpshooter on Austin. Then Mr. McMahon comes out.
Oh, and before we get to that part, afterwards, Austin got other sharpshooter. He actually put the $1 Million Dream submission hold onto The Rock. Also, a move he hasn't used since his Ringmaster days when he first started. Which The Rock freaking reversed into a pin in the corner for Austin to break out. And then shortly after that,
The Rock had to freaking raise his arm at the third, or else it would have ended the match.
Yeah, and then after Rock reversed it, Austin kicked out. The Rock then used Austin's own finishing move, the stunner, on him. Yep. And that was a cue for Vince McMahon to come out, of all people.
Yep. And at this point, it all started to add up.
And then all started to add up.
Stone Cold Steve Austin has sold his soul to the devil.
Austin even said in the hype match that he would win that championship by any means necessary. He was that desperate.
Yes.
And then right when The Rock had the match won, Vince McMahon freaking pulled The Rock's leg after The Rock hit Austin with a people's elbow, thus probably ending the match, but no. McMahon pulled Rock's leg to get him off of Austin, breaking the pin. Then afterwards, The Rock was chasing Vince McMahon around, only to get back into the ring with Austin freaking hitting a rock bottom on The Rock for a 2 count. Yep. And at this point, it was like, what? At this point, it was like total confusion. Because then Vince proceeded to hand Austin a steel chair, which he used to batter The Rock. Rock still kicked out.
That was because Vince was saying, The Rock is my boy, The Rock is my boy, blah, 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 blah.
And then
he turns on him.
And then Austin hit The Rock with another stunner. Rock kicks out. Right?
Well, just the way The Rock soloed that too.
The Rock had one of the best sells for the stunner, okay?
He fucking jumped,
He
hit
flopped
the
like a
damn
fucking
thing,
fish out of water.
fucking flopped,
He
hit
flopped
the
like
damn rope, and then flopped again.
He was flopping around like a fish out of water. Yeah, and then after The Rock kicked out of another stunner, Austin got desperate to the point to where he freaking took that steel chair, just targeted The Rock's midsection, and then after just brutally just beat him down, pounding him like a freaking railroad spike with a chair, thus getting the final 1, 2, 3, and winning the championship. And then afterwards, Vince and Austin shook hands, thus signaling to everyone that Austin had sold his soul to Satan himself and his butt plugs. Yes, I have to add that in, right? You know why.
Yeah.
And then right after the match, freaking Vince McMahon and Austin had a beer over The Rock's prone body, only for Austin to attack The Rock afterwards, Rock was trying to get up to his feet, and that's how. Then afterwards, Vince McMahon and Austin walked out of the ring together. That's how WrestleMania 17 ended.
Well, you also forget that Austin hit The Rock in the head with the
title belt. Yeah, him and the head was the title belt at the end of the match. And you know, a lot of people say that this was the end of the Attitude Era. And in a way, it kind of was, because nobody wanted to see Vince McMahon and Steve Austin aligned. Austin even said himself that this was probably the worst decision of his career, turning heel. But if you ask me, it's the second biggest heel turn in wrestling history. Because at the time, no one really expected Austin to friggin' side with Vince McMahon. Oh, yeah, and you already know. I already know what my pick for the biggest heel turn in wrestling history is, and we'll get to that when we get to that. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so overall, from beginning to end, what was your opinion on this Austin Rock main event, which was the second time these two fought at WrestleMania?
It was interesting seeing that rivalry again.
Yeah.
Because Austin was desperate because he didn't know when he'd get another title match. Then he was desperate enough to sell his soul to his mortal enemy.
It's like, yeah. It's like, at the time, it was shocking for everybody. And ultimately, I think this is what really killed the Attitude Era off, because after this event, people were not watching anymore. Or a lot of people weren't watching anymore, making the ratings drop. You know what I'm saying?
So I was watching both.
Yep. And with WWE not having any more competition, it kind of went down on a downward spiral anyway, creative-wise.
Well, yeah. Well,
and then what followed this event, of course, let's talk about the aftermath of this event.
This is also the creation of the two-man power trip.
Yeah, it was a night after WrestleMania where Austin and Rock had a rematch against each other in a steel cage. Triple H came out near the end of the match, Austin's enemy at the time, and then all of a sudden Triple H attacked The Rock during that match, thus aligning with Steve Austin for the two-man power trip. And meanwhile, The Rock would leave WWE for a brief period to film his first movie.
Yes.
Which was a Scorpion King. And which was kind of the start of Dwayne Johnson, the well-known Hollywood actor that we see today.
Well, it was also when The Undertaker would come back as the other form of his biker when he came back in the 2000s.
Yeah, that was about the end of this year, like we said in the last one. Yeah, and then a couple months following WrestleMania 17, that's when the failed Invasion storyline happened with WWE and versus WCW and ECW. We touched on the end of that freaking rivalry last episode of Classic Reviews.
Yes.
So yeah, and this was kind of the beginning of that, you know what I mean? Since we just talked about the end, we just talked about the beginning. Right?
Yep.
So anyway, let's get to our match ratings here. Chris Jericho versus William Regal Intercontinental Championship match. It served its purpose. Great opener. I would give it about 3.5 out of 5.
About 3.25.
It's like Taz and the APA defeating Right to Censor in a 6-man tag. It was short. It served. It is what it was, but I can't rate it any more higher than like 2.5.
I'd say about 3.
Yeah. It felt more like a match you would see on a Raw or SmackDown at that time.
That's why I gave it a 3.
The crazy hardcore championship match with Kane defeating Raven in the Big Show, I would give that one
4.5.
4.5 because of the brawling all over the place.
And the iconic run him over.
Yeah. I'd say 4.5 for that one.
Yes.
Eddie Guerrero defeating Test for the European Championship. It was on average. I gave it about 3.
Yep.
Would you agree?
Yep.
Kurt Angle versus Chris Benoit. I would give about 4 and 3/4, almost 5 stars.
Same, 4.25.
Yeah, that's at 4 3/4, but you know, it is what it is. China versus Ivory. That really, for the women's championship, that really wasn't much of a match.
About maybe.
I'd give it about 1.5.
I'd give it a 3 because of the storytelling.
I'd give it about a 1.5. It really wasn't a match, but they told the story they needed to tell rather briefly.
Yeah.
That's why I gave it a 1.5. The street fights with the McMahons, with Foley as a guest referee, I would give that about 4.
4.25.
Yeah. The TLC match with Edge and Christian defeating the Dudleys and the Hardys for the tag belts, I'd give that 4 3/4.
Same.
Yep. The Iron Sheik winning the gimmick battle royal, I would just give that like 1.5, only for the nostalgia.
Yeah.
And it served its purpose, I guess, for a comedy relief.
I'd give it a 0.5 star.
Yep. Triple H and The Undertaker's first WrestleMania outing with the brawling ensued, I'd give it about a 3.5.
4.
Okay, fine, I changed my mind, I give it 4, only because of that long-ass sale job by that referee. Because if that referee was conscious, this match would have ended in a double countout, and no one wanted that.
Yes.
And of course, the main event with Austin defeating The Rock for the WWE Championship and turning heel. In a move that even Austin said that he regretted, he should have just called an audible and stunned Vince McMahon. Looking back, he says he should have done that, but the ending of the match and what happened there doesn't affect my score. I say the main event between Rock and Austin was 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah.
And now here's where the controversial part is. Does it hold up grade-wise? If my final grade for WrestleMania 17...
We forgot Benoit versus Angle.
We did the Benoit versus Angle one. I gave that one a friggin' 4 3/4.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So my final grade for WrestleMania 17 as a whole, I would still say it's an A. It's still the best WrestleMania I've seen. Even in reviewing it, I would still say it's an A grade.
Yeah.
There was a couple duds here, but not enough to affect the whole show. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, now that we got that one under our belt, and you had time to think about it since I announced it, what is the next thing we're going to be doing for this podcast next week? It's your choice. What are you laughing about? Okay, I need to know what's the next show. What's the next thing we're going to be doing?
The next show that we are going to be doing is when I think it was Backlash when the Undertaker came back to face to kind of help The Rock face Triple H.
Oh, I get it. So you want to do Backlash 2000.
Yes,
Another great pay-per-view. Man,
because this was the start of Undertaker's biker when the whole thing was
actually,
going on.
Wait a minute. Well, the Undertaker coming back as a dead man, that wasn't Backlash 2000. That was when Austin came out. It was the following pay-per-view was Judgment Day 2000.
Yes.
So yeah, our next show is Judgment Day 2000. Of course, we will cover Backlash 2000 at some point.
Yes.
As well. So the next show you want to do is Backlash or Judgment Day 2000.
Yes.
And the main event of that pay-per-view was that Iron Man match, no DQ Iron Man match, or the Iron Man match between The Rock and Triple H.
Yes.
All right. Another great main event, or another great show.
I like the fact that for a couple of weeks after that pay-per-view, freaking Undertaker is gonna run them over with his fucking bike, and then on that Friday, he's like, "Oh, what are you're gonna be charged with vehicular man's homicide," and then he's like, "Oh, haven't you ever talked to your old lady?" He's like, "What?" Well, Linda just hired me back for buku buck, a whole bunch of zeros.
Yep.
Which and you know what that means? I can kick your ass for a whole bunch of zeros.
So I can kick your ass and you're paying me to do it.
Exactly.
So yeah, our next pay-per-view review will be Judgment Day 2000. And this has been WrestleMania 17's review. We will see you in the next one. Peace.
Doses.